What meaningful impact would you make if you only knew you could? This is Mama Miriamo. She stands just over 4 feet tall. She weighs, at most, 80 pounds. And as I think you can see, she's blind. It's called river blindness. It's caused by the contaminated water and the flies infested with parasites that surround it. This is me at the height of my mixed martial arts career, 6'3", 255 pounds. Some would say a mean, lean fighting machine. Mama Miriamo lives deep in the heart of Africa, in the Congo Basin rainforest, living perhaps the simplest of all human existence. Meanwhile, I'm in Las Vegas, maybe the epitome of opulence and excess. So I think it's safe to say we're about as different as two human beings could possibly be. Yet, this is the story of how this little woman changed this big man's life in a profound way. And perhaps when we're done here today, she'll have done the same for you. That's typically how I like to begin my keynote. And I'm going to do something a little different, kind of change it up. Instead of trying to maybe rush through an abbreviated version, I'm going to give you a high-level overview and really kind of the cliff notes of the keynote. Growing up, and actually, because you're meeting planners, I would love to say thank you so much for what you do, the moments and experiences you provide, those things that people can take back in their day-to-day, into their life, into the workplace, into their community. And also, I just want to say thank you to Angela for putting this event on. Also, just in these moments, we get to take our keynotes and try to customize them to what your people need, the theme, the topic, and that's what I'm really committed to do, that customization. And so, to go over it just quickly, I grew up getting very heavily bullied. I don't know why, maybe that haircut. I was probably the last kid in America, 9th grade, maybe 10th grade, with a chili bowl haircut. If you didn't know what my favorite movie was, it was definitely Beverly Hills Ninja. But really, I was honestly a victim of merciless, relentless bullying to the point of suicide. One moment in front of the whole school, I was crushed by my middle school crush saying, "You're worthless. You should just kill yourself." And that's why I found mixed martial arts. VHS tapes changed my life. These ones, to be exact. I wanted to fight my way out of being bullied. When I picked up those VHS tapes, I thought, these guys don't get bullied. So for the next decade or more, I fought to try to get myself out of that. I had great coaches, 2 Olympic gold medalists. We have one in the room. Nikki, you crushed it. And these guys transformed my life. They took me as a scared, timid kid that hesitated and telegraphed every single move so the opponents knew exactly what I was going to do. And they built this self-confidence in me through wrestling because there wasn't UFC for kids. And things started to get a little bit of positive momentum in my life. 10-time state champion, 5-time All-American, 2-time national champion. On my way to an Olympic run, yet I had a devastating injury. Because of that breaking of my arm, tearing the ulnar collateral ligament, dislocating it, I was told I had a 30% chance to compete again, and hearing that was really a recipe for disaster. I was also overprescribed Oxycontin, and this was 2005, so it was well beyond or before we knew how dangerous that was. So having 3 different doctors writing me 3 different scripts, 90, 120 in a month, I became an opiate addict for quite a while. Yet somehow I was able to still win fights. I made the transition from wrestling into MMA, and I'll skip over that, but this was actually, I think, the Hy-Vee Center. Do y'all remember that place? Is that still in existence? Hy-Vee? Yeah, this was here in Iowa, and it took me on this trajectory to the UFC, on the Ultimate Fighter TV show, and to making my UFC debut. 2 nights ago, my fiance said, "Don't just show pictures of you punching people. Like, at least give them the real deal, what actually happens in a fight. Like, you take some too." So thanks, honey. And, I was a champion on the outside, but completely broken on the inside. I was a national champion wrestler, UFC veteran, inducted into the Black Belt Magazine Hall of Fame with Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee. Yet I was so broken, absolutely broken. And it wasn't until a fan reached out, a dad. When I was getting my hand raised, I would think, is this it? Is that all? Like, there's got to be something more. I didn't have any sense of true meaning or a purpose to pursue with passion. A father reached out to come visit his son at the Denver Children's Hospital. I think it's the Colorado Children's Hospital now, and that's where this ember started, really in my heart or soul of like some sort of meaning. As I did it more and became an official volunteer, and then just volunteering anywhere I could at the Children's Hospital, the Denver Rescue Mission, like that ember turned into this candle flame inside of me, or eventually would turn into a fire. The snowball effect, or like this avalanche through my life, getting some actual positive momentum going. And I don't have time today, but this right here was a moment of this vision happening and coming true. It's the craziest story in the Keynote, but it took me here to Africa. I ended up, that was the runway. That was like literally maybe a minute and a half after landing, maybe 5. And then deep onto these roads that aren't really roads, right? And then hiking into the rainforest, and eventually ending here among the Pygmy people, the Batwa, the Mabuti, the Efe, who had become my second family. These children here are just beautiful, absolutely amazing, but the suffering I saw was actually pretty extreme. Chief Leo May told me, everyone else calls us the forest people, we call ourselves the forgotten. And so my second goal going back to live there was just to live with them, listen to them, learn from them, love them in a sustainable way that's practical, that they're asking for. Not just a temporary handout, traditional charity, but what about opportunity and a real long-lasting hand up to where they can stand on their own 2 feet? On that second trip, I got wrecked. I met Namboli, someone that called someone else master and was born into slavery. She would do this walk with a bag of charcoal that weighs more than she does and is taller than she is from morning to night for literally scraps of food. They call them small fish, we call them minnows or fish bait. And the water crisis really just kicked me in the teeth. I held a young boy named Andy Bo that died in my hands. When he took his last breath, I was holding him. And I didn't know that happened in today's modern world. And that gave us a clear focus of maybe we could help knock out the water crisis. It happened again, a few different times, and this was my home for a year. And, just trying to actually live like they did. And the palm leaf to my right, or I guess to your left, that was my door. The dirt was the bed, the fire was the blanket, and I think my record was pulling out 5 roaches in my beard in one night. Didn't expect to say that, but it was. And, these kids are hunter-gatherers, and they wanted clean water. The families wanted water because 4 out of 10 children die before the age of 5 years old, mostly because of waterborne disease. We created a team who really just wanted to be equipped with the tools, educated with the knowledge, and empowered to be the change in their own community, their own country. And it was hard, back-breaking work. We would do this and hike in bags of bricks and bags of charcoal or cement, and we went where there are no roads. And when the going got tough, we would be reminded, remember why and who you fight for. I'm going to blast through some of this so I can get to the close, but actually I won't skip this. These are the moments. And I get to have someone come up and be the water champion with me in the normal keynote where I bring up someone and we mimic that first water well being drilled, and they get to be the champion of that moment. And these are the moments that really are better than the Super Bowl, better than the World Series, better than the NBA Finals. I've been to it all. And these moments are irreplaceable. These moments never get old, even seeing an old man, a grandfather, seeing clean water for the first time, right? And him saying, you mean to tell me there's been water under our feet this whole time? And this was just last month, at a new water well. So since all that time ago, 2011, going back and forth the last 13 years, we've drilled 85 water wells in some of the hardest to reach places on the planet, providing clean water to over 80,000 people. Purchased more than 3,000 acres of land and provided it legally in the name of the People Group. Built 35 family homes, provided hundreds of jobs and on 4 sustainable farms. But what I'm most proud of is we've seen 1,800 people transition out of a life of slavery and into a life of freedom. And thank you. Thank you. We broke ground on a hospital, a school just last month, and a real community center. And this is what the pharmacy and the maternity ward and the pediatric center is going to look like. These moments are, I don't have time for this story, but what I will zoom in on is just Ivan's face, just because it's awesome. But I bring it to some things we can walk away with. And one is a Swahili proverb that absolutely changed my life. And my heroes, the boots on the ground, the people in the field doing this work day in and day out, they taught me the Swahili proverb: if you want to go fast, go alone. But if you want to go far, go together. It's who they are, it's in their DNA, and it's amazing. Another one is, if you think you're too small to make a difference, try sleeping in a closed room with a mosquito. It's tongue-in-cheek, but in that culture, it means something a little different. I've had malaria 5 times. The first time I almost died. Lost 33 pounds in 5 days. I fought guys 6'7", 6'8", and 6'10". Nothing took me out but a little mosquito, right? So if that can have that big of a difference, make that big of an impact in my life, how much more can we all make in the lives of each other? To bring it back to Mama Mariamo as we come to a close, I hope we can walk away with just some absolute gratitude and joy for especially, well, 1, hers is contagious. And 2, man, we take so much for granted. But this moment was our first water well we ever drilled. And now, if you remember, she's blind, and this was one of their water sources during the rainy season. This was it during the dry season. They had to rock climb to get clean water. Children that should be in school were collecting water. Mothers that could have had a job as second income were rock climbing for water with 20-liter jerry cans, which weigh 44 pounds when full. And so it's impossible for Mariamo. But I hope that you can hold on to the joy and the gratitude that she has in this moment before we close.
My name is Mariamu. I have 2 children that are alive. The other 5 children died. In my life, I once had good eyes. I was well. I could walk well. I could see my children. Still to this day, I don't know what took my vision. To always have to send people to get water for you is a problem. My life belongs to them.
Water is life. When someone uses the good water, you have the opportunity, his life can go very far.
Asante. Mungu abariki. Mungu abariki mali. Mimi naweza kunywa mali. Mungu asifiwe.
As I knelt in the sea that morning in Mexico, which is a story I share earlier, the waves were washing over me. It was as if the water itself was giving me a second chance to do something with my life. The first time getting ready to leave the jungle with Caleb, I questioned, how could I ever possibly make a difference? And he reminded me that every single drop matters. And as I stood by Mama Mariamo as she pumped water, beautiful, clean, life-changing water for the very first time, I realized that she was one of those drops and that she matters so very, very much. And what a privilege for me to be able to share that moment with her, and what a privilege to be able to share her with you. And I'm not asking anyone to uproot their lives and move to the rainforest with me, frankly. They don't want us all there anyways. But I will remind us that we can all make a difference. We can all fight for something or someone who can't fight for themselves. And so I'll end with where I began and ask, what meaningful impact would you make if you only knew you could? Thank you.